right, so let's draw some inspiration, shall we? John C. Maxwell said, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. We are showing the way here. And of course, for the next couple of weeks, this is where the action is. Viewers at home and audience here, welcome to the maiden edition of Ghana's Youth President. Well, Ghana's Youth President is a reality TV show that creates a platform for young, articulate, and brilliant people who have drive and passion for public office. Over here, we give them the opportunity to share knowledge and, of course, to contribute to national discussion. What we did was to go across the country and carefully select young and smart people and placed them in what we call cabinets. And so let me let you into how many cabinets we have. We have 6 cabinets. The first one has a name, a title that is touted. The man is touted to be African greatest leader. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for Osajifo cabinet. Talking of men who are great, we also have the cabinet that has the name of a woman that led the Ashantis to war. Let's put our hands together for Ya Asantewa cabinet. Our fine and beautiful Ghana had a name before. Gold Coast. We have the Gold Coast cabinet with us. We would also have the Republic cabinet representing. The last but definitely not least is the Democrats cabinet. Put your hands together for them. All right, so there you have it, our cabinet. Of course, there'll be a number of people representing sectors and ministers. And now, week in, week out, they will be judged. They will be quizzed, they will be asked questions, scores will be given, and of course, they will be assessed. One thing that's for sure is that after the show, we will find out who the best cabinet is, and of course, who our president, the Ghana's youth president, will be. And now, as I said before, these candidates in each cabinet are going to be scored by judges. The first one is an MPP leading member, and of course, the parliamentary aspirant of the Ododo-Diodio constituency. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together for me, Michael Annan. What are your initial comments?
Well, this is about leadership, and we expect the best ideas coming from our youth. We expect a clear policy direction from them. We expect that they show leadership, and most of all, their delivery must be up to scratch. Thank you.
We have to have up to scratch delivery. Of course, the second judge for the Ghana's Youth President's first episode is Mr. Jignesh Viradia. He is a businessman and, of course, a youth advocate. Thank you very much, sir. Now, let's have your initial comments as well.
I would like to add that the policy implementation, the responses, and the policy defense are the key areas what we would be judging and would be scoring you.
Thank you very much. Well, and you at home are not left out, because later in the weeks, as the episode come by, you would have the opportunity to cast your vote for the best cabinet as well. And so welcome. This is the Ghana's Youth President. I'll take a short break. When I come back, the action begins on the battlefield of ideas. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back from that break, and this is Ghana's Youth President. You're still here. For those of you who are curious, apart from the battle of ideas, what's next? Well, there's good news. So whoever emerges as the best cabinet wins 20,000 Ghana cedis as project fund. Put your hands together for that. And of course, the president that emerges as the best president of the Ghana's Youth President walks home with 11,000 Ghana cedis. We are not leaving the best performing ministers out. because they also go home with consolation prizes. On that cash prize note, we now would introduce to you who our candidates are. And now on my left is Alfred Obri from the Osajifo cabinet. Put your hands together for him. And then on my right as well, we have Emmanuel Agri Asante, representing the Republic cabinet. Gentlemen, are you ready? Yes. Are you feeling excited about it? Ready to lock horns? And our right honorable speaker, and of course our judges, if you're ready, we will start off with Alfred Obri. You have 3 minutes each to make your submissions, and then we'll have follow-up questions from our judges. Your time starts now.
Thank you, MC. Right Honorable Speaker, Supreme Judges, Honorable Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen. I am Alfred from the Osajifo Cabinet, and I'll be delivering on our manifesto entitled Unleashing Our Economic Potential. It is extremely difficult to do things and time and again the same way and expect a different result. Our hopes and aspirations may not be achieved if we do things the same way. After nearly 62 years of our country's independence, the majority of our people are still confronted with widespread poverty and hallowing in the unacceptably low quality of life. We are offering a new direction towards our dear republic on the path of growth, prosperity for today and our future generation. By transforming our economy, grow our business sector, create jobs, and securing a better life for all. We need to transform our country to move Ghana forward. We need to transform Ghana into a good society that gives to the Ghanaian a good life. And here are some of the key ingredients to our economic plan. One, we will help small business create greater jobs growth. And two, we will live within our means. We will live within our means, get the budget back under control, and pay back debt. We will deepen, that's the third one, we will deepen our engagement with the SADC and Africa and pioneer new trade routes. And last but not the least, we will boost productivity to secure greater prosperity and build modern infrastructure. I'll be engaging us in three. The first one is getting the budget under control. We will get the budget under control by start delivering the budget surplus, pay down debt, establish a national audit to identify savings and efficiencies in areas of government so we reduce government debt and start delivering a better value for money and sustainable budget surplus in the future. Still under that, end government waste and ensure better value for money to government programs so that Ghana no longer needs borrowing money to pop up our budgets. The second one, living within our means on a sustainable basis. We will restore prudent financial management and live within our means on sustainable, longer term basis to restore.
Thank you very much. And that was Alfred Obri from Osajifo Cabinet. Put your hands together. Now let's go to the Republic Cabinet. They are represented by their Finance Minister, Emmanuel Agri Asante. 3 minutes. Your time is now.
All right, thank you. Mr. Speaker, panel of judges, fellow contestants, all protocol duly observed, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Emmanuel Agri Asante, the Minister of Finance for the Republic Cabinet. Mr. Speaker, eradicating poverty is the vision of my cabinet in Ghana. And in line with this, the Sustainable Development Goal 1. Mr. Speaker, even though Ghana was the first country to have poverty according to the Millennium Development Goal report in 2015, currently about 6.8 million Ghanaians, which represent 23.4% of the total population, still lives in poverty, a report from the Ghana Statistical Service in 2017. Mr. Speaker, my cabinet will tackle with the issue of macroeconomic stability. Mr. Speaker, Macroeconomic stability would involve the commitment to low inflation. In low inflation creates a climate where foreign investors have more confidence to invest in the country. High inflation can lead to evaluation of the currency and discourage foreign investment. To create a low inflationary framework, it requires effective monetary policy. For example, giving the central bank, which is Bank of Ghana, the independency to use the monetary policy to control inflation. And then again, we are going to look at how to discipline fiscal policy and that is to avoid large budget deficits. Mr. Speaker, a potential problem of macroeconomic stability is that the pursuit of low inflation, high interest rate can conflict with lower economic growth. At least in the short term, sometimes countries have pursued low inflation with great vigor, but at a cost of regression and high unemployment. This creates a constraint to economic development. The ideal is pursue a combination of low inflation and a sustainable economic growth. Mr. Speaker, my cabinet and I will also look at how to effectively draw plans to ensure effective tax and tax collection. Mr. Speaker, one of the challenges developing countries often face to effectively and collect what they are supposed to do. And the government is unable to collect sufficient tax from the richest aspect of the economy. There would be little funds to finance necessary. Mr. Speaker,
all right,
the
thank
issue
you very much. Let's put our hands together. Let's all take note that each point goes for a cash prize of 20 Ghana cedis. And so if you are a candidate, just ensure that you win 200 Ghana cedis. That will be a 10 points for your cabinet. Now, let's turn to our judges now. Let's start first off from Mr. Nee Michael Annan. What do you make of Mr. Alfred Obre's comments? Your questions now, sir.
Well, Alfred, you did brilliant. I think your confidence level is low. You should bring it up. You talk of deficits. You talk of reducing waste. You talk of paying our debt. But all these are results. How do we get there?
Introducing new policies that will generate more revenue in order to pay much of our debts internationally, externally and internally. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Jignesh, any follow-up?
Yes, in terms of the solutions that you are giving, so what are the procedures or the remedies that you will implement in terms of overcoming these deficits or solutions?
Thank you, sir. On fiscal policy, we'll talk about fiscal policy. The tax policy, this is how we are going to deal with it. The tax policy of the Golden Cabinet of Ghana, which is the Osajifo Cabinet, which is based on principles of justice, neutrality, understandability, and ease of administration, will be supported by judicial...
Who has drafted the policy?
We, of course.
You don't need to read it. You should be confident about the policies that you want to implement. It should be clear within the cabinet and within your good self as a finance minister.
Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you very much, judges. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Alfred of the Surgical Cabinet. Now let's move on to Emmanuel Agriasante. Judges, your questions.
You talk of macroeconomic stability. You talk of fiscal policies. You also talk of sustainable growth and tax collections. I think you meant effective tax collections.
Yes, sir.
How do you suggest we do that?
Ensuring effective tax collection, we are going to concentrate more on the informal sector. For example, when you take the various markets that we have, we are going to make sure that we register everyone who sells in the market, and we are going to take tax on them. So each person who sells in the market is going to be registered, and if possible, we are going to build up spaces for them where they can have their place of selling their items. Currently, if you move into our market, you see that many people are selling along the roadside, and these people are not taxed. So we are going to ensure that these people are also brought into the tax collection scheme.
Thank you.
Mr. Jignesh?
Yes, you talked about the constrained development. What do you mean by the constrained development?
Constrained development, what I mean is we are looking at a way of building a country where everyone is inclusive. Recently, the budget that was read by the Ministry of Finance, the mid-year budget that was read, if you could see the budget, you see that the country has reduced in inflation. But this inflation is not a true reflection on the ordinary Ghanaian. You see that there's an increase in fuel prices, increase in electricity. So we are going to tackle the issue of where everything is stable and it is going according to where it's supposed to go. Figures that we are producing are not reflecting on the ordinary Ghanaian in the country.
All right, thank you very much. And that was for the Osagifo cabinet, and of course represented by Alfred Obri, and from the Republic cabinet, Emmanuel Agri Asante. If you think that they are the great guys to represent the finance ministry, the ultimate cabinet, then of course, one thing you have to do is to hold on, because you have the opportunity to vote. We'll present to you our next candidates pretty shortly. All right, and so welcome back. You're still watching the Ghana's Youth President, the battlefield of ideas. And just passed by was two candidates locking horns, speaking about finance. Remember, you at home are also part of the show. We're going to be giving you the opportunity later in the weeks to come by to vote for your best candidate. Points are going to be accumulated, gentlemen, and we will have, each point is 20 Ghana cedis. All you need to do is to impress the judges and get those points. And now, to our next contestants, or of course our candidates. We have on my left, representing the Democrat cabinet, Jonah Tanungtiba Tikonembe. Let's put our hands together for Jonah. And of course, my right, we have Opoku Kwesi Raphael. Put your hands together for him. He represents the Ya Santiwa cabinet. Well, gentlemen, if you're ready, we will take it off. Starting from you, Jonah Takonembe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, eminent judges, fellow ministers, ladies and gentlemen. It is apparent that the strength of every country depends on the strength of their economy. It is for this reason that we in the Democrat cabinet take it as a matter of concern that we will build and run a strong and resilient economy to trickle down the benefits that we ought to give to our citizens, especially the ordinary Ghanaian. And for this reason, we believe that per what has been done by successive governments, there are more innovative measures to be undertaken and explored so that we can gain the benefit that we require as a sovereign nation. For that matter, we believe that diversifying our economy is of necessary so that we can bring about establishing more economic pillars to underpin growth aimed at expanding exports or increasing value-added products to the existing economic activities, which traditionally has been since infancy of this nation, including the mining sector and the cocoa industry, the oil and gas. Thank you. And for that matter, we also do know that there are a lot of challenges that come as a result of the shocks that trickle down from the world market. For that matter, we will take keen notice or close monitoring to the world market that bring about the shocks and affect our economy. We have so many points, or if you like, agendas to undertake in order to improve, maintain, and sustain our macroeconomic indicators to give benefits and development to our people as a country. We want to enhance on the transport and the energy sector that are very vital in our economy. Transport will enhance the movement of goods and services, and the sector of energy needs to be reliable and sustainable so that we will have strong industries running day after day.
All right, so thank you very much. Let's put our hands together. Mr. Opoku Kwesi Raphael, let's hear your 3 minutes manifesto presentation.
Right Honorable Speaker, Supreme Judges, members of the Parliament, viewers at home, all protocols duly observed. I'd like to go on to my substantive measures to improve the economy as a credible finance minister. Mr. Speaker, on stabilizing the currency, my government will spend more of the Ghana cedis. The cedi depreciates whenever demand for foreign supplies outstrips supply. So we will increase export just to get more inflows into the country. Mr. Speaker, let us consider the employed citizens. We have competent and well-knowledge citizens who are ready to work and pay taxes in today's economy. Mr. Speaker, these people will only do this when they see that the government is really making good use of their money. Therefore, as I'm here as a finance minister for this country, I will make sure that their priority will become the first in all my agenda. Therefore, I'll make sure that I'll reduce incentives of government appointees. I'll make sure that taxness is increased in all informal sectors. Mr. Speaker, Ghana embrace foreign institutions. I'll make sure in their first 5 years of operation, they employ 60% of all local workers as entry-level employees, and 5 years after which our local men are trained in this institution, 80% of them will be employed in this institution in their major managerial roles. Mr. Speaker, this will create mass employment for these people. I will make sure that in other measures, I will grant exemptions on mineral exploration with the expectation that in 3 years' time, Mr. Speaker, at least 2 greenfield mines will be open to yield extra revenue. I will make sure that I review import duties and tax exemptions to eliminate abuses and improve efficiency in the application of these incentives. Mr. Speaker, as part of my pledge to build an economy that works for all, we will invigorate the sector of agric by an ambitious plan called the Asagri Strategy. This is the narrative taken from the Asantua Agriculture, built around 3 objectives, which is hunger eradication and food security, livelihood and poverty eradication, economic growth. Mr. Speaker, Asagri Strategy is a new deal offered to the agricultural community, providing direct support to the specific segment of this economy.
All right, let's put hands together Let's see what the judges have to say. First off will be to Mr. Nee Michael Annan. Your turn.
I think your confidence was right. I only had main points and mentioning energy, transport, external markets, giving us all those. These are things we know. But what we want is what you would do differently with these things that would inure to the benefit of this nation. So I'm giving you this opportunity. Tell us, what would you do differently? Choose any of your topic and tell me what you would do differently.
Thank you, Honorable Judge. We have a lot of policies in line that we would want to undertake. One of them is fighting corruption, which has become a canker that we all know. This we will do by strengthening the institutions that are related to fighting such cases, such as IOCO, BNI, and that of the Attorney General and Special Prosecutor. This we will also complement with the effort we have from distinguished citizens, especially when it comes to investigative journalists. We will engage them as a cabinet, sit with them, then we understand things that we need to do, engage them to do the investigations, bring out what we do not want that will complement our fight against corruption. Again, Honorable Judge, we would also want to increase our tax nets. This we will do by engaging various district assemblies to take data of every small enterprises within such constituencies or districts, if you like. If we get that data, we will be able to know how much each person or each firm can afford. That will give us a basis to generate revenue from those firms that will help develop and cut down the monies that we pay into the district assembly's common fund. Again, Honorable Judge, we would want to also undertake efficient spending. We will do this by engaging the fiscal discipline that we want to institute.
All right, so still on Jonah Tikonembe, can we take follow-ups from Mr. Jignesh Viradia?
All right, you covered most of the points in terms of diversifying economy, expanding exports, local production, world market, transportation, energy, and energy sector. In terms, I want to emphasize on the local production that you missed out something very important which might strengthen the economy of a country from the finance ministry perspective is the agriculture sector, which I think is the right perspective to impose into the system. When it comes to cocoa, mining, oil and gas, which have reached to a stage in terms of local production. So how have you missed out agriculture as part of an important manifesto or a policy?
With regards to the mining and oil industry, especially in the mining sector, we would want to, as a cabinet, review the royalties that we currently deal with and look at the benefits on one-on-one so that it will be a partnership rather than being something like we depend on those who do the mining, and the miners or the mining companies, after finishing whatever they want to accrue,
is asking you. You missed out agriculture, which he thinks is one of the major policies and the finance.
Okay.
What do you have in that direction?
Thank you, Honorable Judge. Yes, because I was not able to list all, we also have agriculture and industrialization. This we hope to do by revamping the factories that we once had. And we would also support it by undergoing a research so we can develop a data upon which we will be able to know which kind of raw materials that we have continuously that can sustain the running of such factories. Again, we also do know that every part of this country, there are bamboos found everywhere. But it is common to go into a restaurant and find toothpick made in China. That is very bad in the aspect of manufacturing as a country. So we would also engage a lot of partners, establish factories that will come up with these basic commodities that we can manufacture in our country. And it will reduce our importation and as well increase our foreign reserves.
All right, and so that was the presentation by Mr. Jonah Tikonembe. Now we will move straight to the questioning of judges. And this time we have Opoku Kwesi Rathel representing Yasantua Cabinet. And now, Mr. Neem Michael Annan, your turn.
I think you did well. You spoke like a politician. What I'm not getting is how to get it done. Local content, very brilliant. Your greenfield idea, your Greek policy, very brilliant. But how do we do this?
First and foremost, as a finance minister, I would take on the risks of checking their conventions. And the first one I stated that I will decrease import taxes. I will do this for the mining sectors and all those foreign businesses in this country, so that they will bring in more products into this country. And when they do that, with my measures, I will make sure that they employ more of our people into their industry. And if this isn't done, then I will take on the second alternative by increasing their taxes. Thank you.
Any follow-ups?
Okay, Finance Minister, you covered most of the points in terms of stabilizing currency, increasing export, reducing incentives, increase of tax, employees to raise about 60%, your mineral exploration policies, your agriculture policies. I think you have covered most of it. What I would like to impress upon, what is your strategy in terms of stabilizing currency? How do you see our CD in terms of repo rate towards USD?
The policy I will implement is the operation of the use of the currency in our country. Thank you. The use of the Ghana cedi in our currency. And therefore, no foreign investor whatsoever will get the access to use their currency in our country.
No, but what, as a finance minister, what are the measures that you will take to control the depreciation? I mean, what do you see as the CD being depreciated? How?
And that's what I was saying. The cedi has been increasingly depreciated. Why? Because we allow these foreign investors to use their currency in this country. And also, one of the things I'm going to introduce is that I'll reduce forest bureaus in this country, so that if you are a foreign investor and you want to change your currency, you have to go to the bank to change your currency.
I want to correct one thing which needs to be corrected in the right format, that a foreign investment there is no effect of CD depreciation when a foreign investment comes. It rather appreciates. The import needs to decrease and the local content should increase. And that's the effect on the CD depreciation, is not the investment. Never. Investment appreciates the country's economy and the currency.
Thank you very much.
I thought you would have relied heavily on your Greek policy.
Yes, please.
Yes. Very well. Another round of applause for the two of them. All right, so this is the round two of the meetup of the finance ministers. And if you are excited about it, remember that you're going to be having an opportunity to also vote in the coming weeks. They have 20 Ghana cedis for 1 point to be won. Let's see how many points they get. We'll return shortly with the rest of the finance ministers in waiting. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is still the Ghana's youth president, and we are locking horns. The finance ministers are doing just that. Well, one thing that must be said is that all the ministers, all the candidates, yours is to keep focus. But if you don't do well in this competition today, your other ministers from other episodes can win more points. Remember, each point is for 20 Ghana cedis. At the end of the show today, the judges will help us and would announce who topped this segment. Well, I'm excited because the two finance ministers from the other cabinets have been represented here and they are standing by. From my left is Karis Bokwe from Gold Coast Cabinet. Let's put our hands together. And on my right, Alex Ampoma Karantin represents Gachesberg Cabinet. And so we are ready for 20 Ghana cedis per point. You have 3 minutes. Karis Bokwe, Gold Coast. Let's hear you.
Okay, Honorable Speaker, Honorable Judges, it's a privilege to be amongst you all. It will come to a surprise to you, but if you take Ghana's total exports in terms of global economy, it will shock you that what we produce now up to 1% of the total contribution in terms of global economy. But yet with this problem, whenever people in our communities want to start up businesses, want to go for loans, start up businesses to improve their livelihoods and the economy as a whole, the cost of this capital is extremely high. So my policies are around 5 main issues. 1 is the high lending rates of financial institutions. 2 is the low level of complexity of our exports. 3 is the private sector having low access to credit. 4 is the low level of GDP per capita. And the 5th one is the unavailability of jobs. Thank you very much.
Well, I think I'll go next to Alex Ampoma Karantin from Gachesberg Cabinet. Over to you, sir.
Mr. Speaker, Supreme Judges, cherished viewers, I go by the name Alex Ampoma Karantin, representing the Gachesberg Committee as the Finance Minister. I would like to acknowledge the previous administration for their consistent on their financial management for Ghana, the NPP and the NDC. Our policy is narrowed down to the people who form up to be Ghanaians. They are the people we work for. We want to establish a very resilient economy, a very resilient financial policy to make their standards of living rise to a certain level that within their own lives, they seek to achieve whatever they have on their mind. We are tackling on the public workers' benefit structure, which we think is consuming so much on our revenue as a country, and then redistributing it to the people with regards to the capital investment, construction roads and schools in the various communities. We'll also touch on the bank financial management. We seek to establish a very resilient, entrenched act in the Constitution that is going to make borrowing by bank directors in their own banks very narrowed and then supervised by the Bank of Ghana for the country to have a very consistent means of having enough capital in our banks. Also, trade localization policy we have here that as a country battling on importation of goods, which also is helping the country in terms of revenue acquisition. We also want to tackle on the fact that the commodities produced in this country should be consumed. And until these commodities are consumed in this country, no way we are going to import from the outside. We will also take on the state-owned enterprise self-finance. These are some of the persistent issues that have lost government monies over the years. The state institutions seek to always take money from government to refund themselves in their activities and their focus. But we as a cabinet, we want to cut that down. If you're a state-owned enterprise or when you're managing a state-owned enterprise, monies you are going to make, monies that you are going to generate from your activities, you are going to use to finance yourself. With regards to salaries and then also projects to be done by the enterprise. We also want to tackle on the taxation and then assembly internally generated funds. Taxation is one of the ways the country obtain revenue. Obtaining revenue, we want to widen the tax net, tackling on the sectors that have not been captured in the in the tax net. We want to tackle on them to also get all the revenues together to develop the country.
All right, thank you very much. Let's see what the judges think with their questioning. I'll start off with Mr. Ni Michael Annan. Maybe let's start off now with Karis.
You are the finance minister. You should have touched on most of the sectors and tell us how you would actually finance those sectors. But I think that notwithstanding, you mentioned one very important aspect of the economy, and that is the quality of livelihood of our people. Our economy is not adjudged to be the best if we should have high GDP. But if the livelihood of our people are improved, then we can say we are developing and we are moving forward. But how do you improve these livelihoods of our people? I am very interested.
Okay, thank you very much for that contribution. Okay, the first thing is, one of the major areas that I'll focus on in terms of increasing the livelihood or the living standard of our people is with respect to the lending rates, as I stated earlier. The thing is, one of the major problems that we have in Ghana is our low level of exports. And then also the people that complete from schools, they don't have jobs, that's in the first place. And then secondly, whenever they want to start jobs, the cost of capital to starting these jobs are extremely high. They are currently they are around 27.8, hovering around 27 to 28%. That's the lending rates offered to people. So the basic idea is to reduce this lending rates. Once the lending rates come down, people have more access to capital, then production increases. That will help the people in the economy, first of all, and then to help the economy in general or as a whole. That will increase our exports. That will help in terms of our currency problems. So those are some of the benefits that will come. But the basic idea is reducing lending rates. And that's not the only thing, but that's one of the ideas.
Are there any follow-ups, Mr. Jignesh?
Yes, Minister. I heard you about in terms of you emphasizing on that Ghana has a low exports in terms of our local produce. But again, I would like to point out that Ghana is number one country in terms of exports in Africa when it comes to gold, when it comes to cocoa, when it comes to cashew, which is number one in whole of Africa as of now. So it's not about we have low exports. We should emphasize on decreasing the imports, and that's the key thing. We have more imports. It's not that we have low exports. So in terms of implementing the policies, we should think of how we can balance the equation in terms of the deficits. The second point, what I would like to understand is the high level rates and what are the measures that you think you are going to implement.
Okay. The high lending rates issue in Ghana is as a result of two main problems in the economy. The first one is the high level of non-performing loans in the banking sector. And the second one is the high operating expenses in banks. So first of all, with the high non-performing loans, which is 1/5 of every loan offered by banks usually ends up being defaulted or not being paid back. And that major issue as a result is in a way, it doesn't make sense in a way because the main reason why people are not able to pay back is because of the high lending rates. But yet they are not reducing that, it's still kept high.
How many banks do we have in Ghana?
Banks. So about 50-something banks. I'm not sure of the exact, but to be around that.
Finance Minister issues the licenses for the banks.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll make my homework.
23, to be precise.
Okay, thank you very much. So how exactly we reduce the lending rates is another major reason why the banks have such high lending rates is as a result of their high operating expenses. The thing is, they make money by making loans or the interest paid on loans. That's one of the ways by which they generate revenues. But whenever their expenses are too high due to operational inefficiencies, maybe too much employees inside their workplace,
But as a government, how can you control the
These
expenditure
high
of a
expenses.
private enterprise?
Exactly. So one policy is incentivizing what we call fintech companies. These are a combination of technological and finance. It's combining both finance and technology. And the key thing with fintechs is that they have very low operating expenses because of the addition of technology to those banks. So our policy with regard to government is incentivizing these things, making them more in the economy. So the banks will end up becoming more competitive. Because if one bank should have lower operating expenses, to force the other one to also have also try to reduce their operating expenses. This in general will cut across, and then will allow these banks to reduce their operating expenses. And once the operating expenses are reduced, lending rates can also reduce.
I see. Extremely excited about it. Now, would quickly move on to Mr. Alex Ampoma, granting from Gudgesburg. Well, judges, your questions. He brought a lot of clarity and, of course, strategies. What do you have for him?
You really look like a finance minister with your portmanteau. Well, you emphasize on the public payroll and how you want to reduce that. But you just told us you are going to reduce it. But how?
Thank you very much. At the public sector, public workers are paid through the Controller General. It's a change the whole country is looking for. People are suffering. Just a few are getting the benefits from the revenue we get as a country. When everybody completes school, the person seeks to obtain a government work or a government job because they are well paid. When you start a business and you don't get a very good financial support, you end up collapsing the business. So this is what we're going to do. When you are paid 10,000 cedis a month for being a public servant, maybe a director or an office assistant or whatever it is, we are limiting all government salary structure to 30% of the revenue obtained. Whatever it is, once your salary is out of the 30%, it will be cut off. You can't go beyond 30% of the revenue obtained as a country.
Then I suggest unemployment will go up.
Not unemployment, because when we are steaming 30% of revenue to pay salaries, and we are being paid 10,000, definitely it is going to reduce. You're not going to have the same amount. We are not sacking you. When you think you are committed to serve Ghana, you will accept it, because the money that is going to be reduced from your salary is going back to the people.
Currently, what is the percentage of our total budget to payroll?
To payroll, in 2017, it was 44.7%. And between 2017 to 2019, the government has added up employment. So basically, we are thinking of hitting about 50% or less of revenue going to our payrolls.
Therefore, if you are taking out 20% of that, that is quite huge.
It's quite huge,
Right.
because our cabinet is focusing on increasing the standard living of the people.
You have not provided any alternative.
This is the alternative.
How are those people going to be employed?
We are not eliminating anybody from government work. We want to make government work be a commitment, kind of. You are committed to do government work, not because of the benefit you obtain. That is why you want to be there. Because looking to issues of payroll in the country, you realize that government sectors have not been performing comparing to the private sector, because they are not properly checked, as I would say, and it's true. At the government sector, they are reluctant at work. They have more space to do a lot of things for themselves, and there's a lot of luxury over there. We want government business to be of a serious business. People committed to work to bring benefits and then profits to these ministries and sectors, not people to come and enjoy. So these monies, when taken from them, we are going to use it to construct roads. No time to borrow to construct loans, to construct roads. No time to borrow to construct bridges. No time to borrow to do government structure projects.
All right. Mr. Jignesh Viradia, do you agree or disagree?
Partially agree, partially not. Because there are no precise policy lines in terms of line items. Okay, for bank reforms, you need to do this. You touched all the subjects very well, but in terms, you talked more on the reforms of the orientation of a government or government institutions, right from banks to state institutions. But in terms of implementation, there's a bold step which the new government has taken in terms of bringing all the state institutions under one umbrella, which is the SIGA. The finance minister has approved it. I hope you are aware of that. Okay. Anyway, so the idea of you bringing the reforms in state institutions has already been implemented in a nice way, which is quite commendable, and we should all appreciate. The other thing, what I would like you to throw light on is, what are the bank reforms?
The bank reforms. In 2017, this administration collapsed about 4 banks, including Capital Bank, UT Bank, and Co. And the reports written by Dr. Ernest Addison with regards to the reasons why these banks were collapsed were as a result of lack of, that's the bank were insolvent. They had no money to operate. They were operating on the depositors' money. This problem have been that bank directors tend to borrow from their own banks and are not properly checked. So in this policy, we are enacting an entrenched law in the constitution that bank directors have no audacity or so whatever to borrow from their own banks. For them to obtain loans in their own banks, they have to borrow it through the Bank of Ghana. And Bank of Ghana is going to supervise loan acquired by bank directors.
All right. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Alex Ampomakrantin. Those are their reactions. The judges are scoring. I'm sure you also think differently on some issues, just as I do. But we all are going to have the opportunity. The judges have 60% power. And then you at home, when we give you the chance, would have 40% to decide the fate of this candidate. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll group all of them together and hear what the scores are from the judges. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. All right, so welcome back. We're still here on Ghana's Youth President. We are on a quest to finding the very first ever youth president, and this is how the journey begins. But of course, as we said from the beginning, there were rules of engagement. You want to share with us, how did we do today, all of us as candidates? Mr. Hanan, you first.
I think generally I would say in terms of branding, they did quite well. Everybody managed to pull it off. Where I have issues with the content and the delivery of the content and the follow-ups. I mean, when you are speaking in public and you expect answers, sometimes you should create the follow-up yourselves so that it seems that you are not prepared for the follow-ups that came. You should be prepared, and your content should be well researched. You should know exactly what you are talking about. And then the delivery. I mean, buy mirrors, stand in front of your mirror and practice. And I think we would see you back here again much better.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for our judge, Mr. Hanan. Mr. Viradia, if today we had this people, one of them as a Minister of Finance, is the country in safe hands?
They need to add more for sure. Collective information, collective policy should be imposed in terms of policies. That's what I would suggest, and they all should emphasize on quality research work and actual things happening on the grounds.
All right, let's put our hands together for them. And we congratulate you for your precision and, of course, your questioning skills as well. All right, so if you think today was exciting, we just got started on Ghana's Youth President reality TV show? Well, just to remind you that each minister wins 1 point, 20 Ghana cedis. All they have to do is to win 10 points that amounts to you know what it is. Well, again, the best cabinet in this competition goes home with a project fund of 20,000 Ghana cedis. Then again, the best presidential candidate also walks home with 11,000 Ghana cedis that he shares with the rest of the ministers. As well, we have consolation prizes for best performing ministers. That's too good for the show. It's the battlefield of ideas. This is where the action is. My name is Kokulumo. I have been clothed by best buying shop in Osu, just close to Sneed Hospital. So if you need something cool, just get to them and they will fix you. I'll see you next week. I can't wait. It's been exciting. I'll see you again.